this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a marvelous day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. And these black celebrities have got to stop. Shannon Sharpe is going to have to shut that podcast down, or we're going to have a civil war in Black America. Monique is the latest visitor to Shannon's brown leather couch, that cute leather couch. I hadn't seen that style before. I'm hanging out in the wrong places. But Monique has some tea to spill too. And she spilled tea all over Oprah Winfrey, Kevin Hart, Tyler Perry, and D.L. Hughley. Monique is just Monique. Love her or hate her, she is just Monique. So Monique doesn't forget anything. And if you have stepped on her toes and hurt her feelings, she wants an apology. And every chance she gets, she's going to ask for that apology, and she's going to bring receipts as to why she deserves that apology. One of her complaints against Oprah Winfrey is that Oprah Winfrey betrayed her in dealing with a very personal family matter that Monique had shared with the public, but I believe she expected Oprah Winfrey to handle that information with care. I don't know if there's any other way to put it. Oprah Winfrey sort of capitalized on that by bringing her family on the show, and the brother who had touched her, and I'm saying it mildly, in the name of apologizing to her, but it turned out to be something quite different. You'll have to listen to her tell her own story on the Shannon Sharpe podcast. But I remember seeing that show that Monique is talking about, so she's not lying. And so I am a recovering fan of Oprah Winfrey. I'm one of the ones that recorded Oprah back in the day when we had those VHS videotapes. I videotaped Oprah every day, and I came home and watched her show every day. That was before I even got married. My friend and I would get on the phone and we would go over the whole show and just loved Oprah Winfrey. She was, a Southern girl, had done well, and she was doing really well on television. So I was very proud of Oprah. It took a black man, believe it or not, to point out to me that Oprah Winfrey was basically telling white women's problems, crying over the problems that white women were crying over, and that was entertainment for us. She rarely brought black people on that show other than to point out problems in the black community. But when she would be talking about white women's problems, and these were mostly white women complaining about white men, but she sympathized with those white women. But she didn't cry and carry on when black people were telling their stories. Now, I don't remember thinking that back in the day when I was listening to her. But as time has passed on, and black people keep bringing up things about her, and I keep seeing things myself. The way she brought those two white men on there that had accused Michael Jackson, and they basically relitigated the case on her show after he was dead and couldn't defend himself. And she let those guys sit there and let them convict Michael Jackson of a crime that he had been found not guilty of. All the while, her friend, Harvey Weinstein, was accused by a whole slew of white women of doing the same thing, and she never mentioned him. She has never said anything about him and the Me Too movement. So it's the things like that that she does that makes you wonder, what is she all about for real? So that's what has caused me to stop and think that black people are saying that this woman is not for real. But there's something else I want to say about the Oprah Winfrey show and how, and I think Black America and probably America was hoodwinked. And I say hoodwinked because it was a sleight of hand that was played using Oprah Winfrey. And this is what I'm talking about. This is Phil Donahue. Phil Donahue was the national reigning daytime talk show host for many years, beginning in the mid-1970s. Phil Donahue popularized the daytime talk show format. He was the first, and really, he was the best at it. His show was hugely popular, and it aired from 1967 to 1996. He won 9 Daytime Emmy Awards as Outstanding Host, and that he was. The Phil Donahue Show was the first talk show format that included audience participation. His show ran for 26 years on national television. Critics state that his show was so successful because he was passionate about what he did, he was open to new ideas, he was persistent, and he was willing to take risks. And that is what the audience in the studio and outside the studio liked about Phil Donahue. He talked about controversial issues and he brought on controversial guests. They were talking about vaccine and the effects of vaccinations back in the 1980s. Now we're having that same discussion, but Phil Donahue was talking about it way back in the 80s. And also, this guy, Minister Farrakhan, he would bring Minister Farrakhan on his show and let Minister Farrakhan talk. It would always be those white women jumping up trying to challenge Minister Farrakhan, where you know he put them in their place. But Phil Donahue would let the conversation flow. He would let Minister Farrakhan state his position and defend or explain his position to the audience. Most of the time, they didn't agree with him because in the 1980s and the early 1990s, white people didn't quite know that black people didn't have the same ideals about everything that they did, especially justice and injustice in America. And Minister Farrakhan would come on there, and you know Minister Farrakhan, he's going to read, write, and erase you. And Donahue would let him talk. He was a good moderator. He didn't let the discussion get out of hand. And sometimes he would challenge Minister Farrakhan or question him about things, but he would let the conversation flow. He also had Dr. Khalid Mohammed, the founder of the New Black Panther Party, on his program. Same thing. He gave him the same respect. So I'm saying that he allowed black people to come on and express their ideas and have a discussion about American history and the problems they had with the American system. He would have members of the Klan. He had Jared Taylor on there, who is a white supremacist or alt-right or whatever he is. But he would let everybody come and have a discussion. It would be intelligent and it would flow. And people sometimes walked away disagreeing with the other person, but everybody got a chance to have their say. My point is that Phil Donahue frightened America because he brought the racial issues out front. And his talk show became internationally viewed. And I believe that had something to do with the fact that at a point, America decided that we've got to take this in a different direction because America is putting out one thing to the world about what America is, and Phil Donahue is bringing on these black people, black leaders of all sorts, and they're talking about the racial issues in America. And this went on from about 1974 until 1996, I believe, when this show ended. But in the meantime, they brought in Phil Donahue's competition. Oprah Winfrey, a plain, sympathetic, overweight black woman who had apparently failed at every relationship that she had been in with black or white men. So Oprah Winfrey became this jubilant, I love everybody, and I will cry over anything that has to do with white women, even if they lost their dog. I'm going to cry with them over losing their dog, even though I didn't even know the dog. So that was what Oprah Winfrey became. Now, I was all on board because a lot of the issues were issues that were interesting. They talked about relationships. But one thing I do remember about that show that she would have back in the 80s and the 70s, it was an issue of white men stalking white women and ending their lives. And not only white women, but also white children. So the crime did not focus on black men as much. We've always had crime, just like everybody else. But that wasn't what that show was about. It was mostly about whatever was going on with white women. And she would break down and she would have a good cry. And white women loved Oprah. And black women went along because she was black and we related to her. And of course we thought she cared about black people. She would have black people on. But the black people that she would really be enthusiastic about would be celebrities. Tina Turner or Gladys Knight, Will Smith and Jada. Anybody that was a celebrity and black, she was all over them. But regular black people, she didn't show that much interest in regular black people. I see that now. I didn't see it then because the power of television and whatever was being presented, I was just going along with it. And I would tape her shows every day. But now I realize that she was Phil Donahue's replacement. Oprah didn't talk about race. She didn't bring Minister Farrakhan or any controversial black person on her show. One time she did a show about racism in Forsyth County, Georgia, which is a sundown county. Some of the white people who had moved into Forsyth County did not know it was a sundown county and something happened up there, and they wanted to bring attention to the fact that it was a racist county. So Oprah went up there and did a show, and it got very ugly up there. And then she tried to do one or two more shows on race, and then she decided that she wasn't doing any more shows on race. So Oprah was the beginning of America deciding that race is not going to be discussed in a way that black people control the discussion. When we talk about race again, it's going to be about the problems that white people have with race in America. And that is when Fox News came on the scene, 1996, taking the conversation about race, racism, and injustice away from black people and giving it to white people. So that is what my journey has been with Oprah Winfrey. I started out being a very big fan of Oprah Winfrey. But as time has gone on, I have seen that what Minister Farrakhan has said about black celebrity is true. They cannot become successful and gain tremendous wealth without being hooked up to the system of white supremacy, which means that they cannot advocate for black people or speak up for black people or create a platform where black people can speak freely about the black experience in America. So everybody that we want to look up to and think is so rich and we want to be like them and we admire them so much, we really need to stop and take another look, because all may not be what it seems to be. I am no longer a big fan of Oprah Winfrey's. I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to be one of these people that talk about her and bash her and beat up on her. But when other black people continue to complain about her, I have to believe there is a problem somewhere. Okay, y'all, let me know what you think about the video. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share the video, and as always, have a great day.